version of heroism that the world loves to celebrate. The battlefield kind. The kind with banners and trumpets, and a clear enemy standing on the other side of a defined line. The kind where courage looks like charging forward, and victory looks like a flag planted in conquered ground. It is clean. It is visible. It is the version that gets written into history books and carved into monuments. And he had lived that version completely, had climbed through every rank, survived every campaign, bled on ground that most soldiers never came home from, and risen to a title that sat just beneath the throne itself. Not king, but close enough that the shadow of the crown fell across his name every time someone spoke it. He came home expecting what soldiers always hope for when they return from a long war. Not celebration necessarily, not parades or speeches, just stillness. The ordinary quiet of a life that has been waiting. The familiar weight of belonging somewhere after years of belonging only to the battlefield. What he found instead was wreckage. Not the dramatic, visible kind that war leaves behind. Collapsed walls and scorched earth and grief that announces itself loudly. This was the other kind. The kind that hides behind closed doors and maintained appearances and carefully constructed silences. His family had been fractured in ways that did not show from the outside. The people who should have been protected had instead been managed, pressured, pushed into corners by forces that operated entirely within the walls he had spent years fighting to defend from enemies outside them. The palace he served was not the palace he believed in, and the system that had handed him his title, his rank, his entire identity as a soldier, that system had been built on something that made every victory he had ever won feel suddenly uncertain. Stolen blood. That was the foundation. Not loyalty, not law, not the principles that military oaths are supposed to be made of. Corruption so deep and so long established that it had stopped looking like corruption to the people inside it, and had simply become the way things worked. Resources diverted, power concentrated in hands that had acquired it through manipulation rather than merit. Lives ordinary lives. The lives of people who had no army and no title and no way to fight back, treated as acceptable losses in the ongoing project of keeping the wrong people comfortable. He had fought wars for this. He had carried the banner of this institution across battlefields and through campaigns that cost him things he would never fully recover. And now, he was standing inside the palace with the full weight of that knowledge pressing down on him. And the question was no longer about what he was willing to fight for. The question was about what kind of fighting this new war required. Because this enemy did not wear a uniform. It did not stand across a defined line in open ground. It sat at dinner tables and signed documents and smiled with the practiced warmth of people who have spent years making sure that no one with power ever has a reason to look at them too closely. Fighting it the way he had fought on the battlefield would accomplish nothing. Charging forward with the same weapons, the same tactics, the same directness that had earned him every medal on his chest. That would only give the system exactly what it needed to discredit him. A soldier who had lost his discipline. A hero who had become a problem, so he learned a different kind of patience. The kind that does not come naturally to someone trained for direct engagement. He watched, he mapped. He rebuilt connections with the people inside the palace who had been quietly suffering under the weight of what they knew but could not say alone. He found the threads in the fabric of the corruption, the places where it was thinner, where one careful pull could begin to unravel something larger. And he protected his family not with force, but with the same strategic intelligence that had kept him alive through wars that should have killed him. This drama understands something that most stories about soldiers do not fully explore. That the bravest thing a warrior can do is not always the loudest. Sometimes it is enduring. Sometimes it is choosing justice over victory when the two are not the same thing. Sometimes it is standing inside a corrupt system with everything you have built on the line and deciding, quietly and without ceremony, that you will not become what you came to dismantle. He conquered battlefields for glory. He came home to fight for something harder. And this time, winning would look nothing like what he had been trained to recognize, but it would mean everything more.